G'day everyone, Diesel for Getting Around Oz, camper trailer traveling. Thanks for joining us for another video. I'm going to try and cover off the most answered question I've had, which is, what's the Pajero like for towing? Now for us, we tow the MDC ROBSON camper trailer here behind me, which is an off-road camper trailer. It has an ATM of 2.4 tons or 2,400 kilograms. So it is reasonably heavy. Clearly it's not as heavy as some big caravans and those types of things, but I'm going to go through the pros and cons. Now we've taken this thing here right around the country through, in all sorts of conditions, all sorts of weather, through some big mountain ranges, corrugations, camping on the beach, you name it, we've done it. And every part of the country has sort of provided a different challenge. While there's definitely some pros to the Pajero towing, there is also some cons. We're going to go through all those with you, and I'll do my best to cover off the questions I've had. But for the moment, grab a drink, take a seat. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so I'll give you a basic rundown of our setup, just so you know what we're running, which might help you with anything you've got to think about or work through. So for us, we've got a 2014 NW Pajero. The engine, the drivetrain, the suspension, it's all standard, okay? We haven't done any mods or anything. We've added we've added the roof rack and dual batteries and all those types of things. The actual running gear itself is all stock standard. And the only other thing I can think of that might be applicable to what I'm going to talk about today is tyres. So we run the Cooper's Discovery AT3 all-terrain tyres. We just run the standard 18-inch VRX rims that come with a Pajero. So again, it's all fairly standard, other than the fact that we've actually added all-terrain tyres to this. Rightio, I'll start off with the pros for the Pajero in regards to towing. Now the first and the biggest pro is this car has heaps of grunt. Power has never been a problem at all. Now towing close to 2.4 tonne, with the Pajero also fully loaded up, it's never let us down. A couple examples would be, like for overtaking, this thing definitely gets up and boogies. Now we've driven through the Guy Fawkes River National Park in the New South Wales, and the mountain ranges through there, driving through to Tamworth, were pretty mega. I think at the highest point there by memory was about 2,400 meters above sea level. So it was a lot of this, and it was for a long time. Anyone who's been through there would know the roads are windy as. Moving out of Cairns through the Gillies Range up to the Atherton and Tablelands in Queensland. Again, anyone who's been through there, super windy, super steep, and again, powered up through there, no worries at all. Another pro is the transmission, the gearbox, the drivetrain in this thing was really good. There hasn't been a time where I've put the foot down and needed to give it a bit of a kick in the guts, and it didn't respond. Whenever you do it, you put your foot down, wait a moment, bang, turbo kicks in, and off she goes. So another pro for towing with the Pajero, it's quite a comfortable ride, okay? They're not going to go through the details and the specs of Pajero suspension, all that sort of stuff, but it's a pretty smooth ride. Clearly driving through corrugations, this is tested like anything else, but most of the time it's a pretty smooth ride, okay? It's like it's a bit of a slow roll. There's nothing sudden in the suspension, which makes for a pretty comfortable ride on the inside there. Another thing in regards to comfort on the inside, I wouldn't say that it's a noisy vehicle inside when towing, or when driving at 100, 120, 130, in the Northern Territory as you might do. There isn't a lot of cabin noise. And in regards to like rattles and those types of things, I haven't had a lot of problems with that. A couple of things have come loose, but in regards to rattles and those types of things, we're at about 250,000 Ks now, and this thing hasn't really had anything sort of fall off, any of that sort of stuff. So the ride on the inside is generally really good. All right, so another pro for us is, and it was a pretty big deal, and it was one of the reasons we actually went for the Pajero in the first place, because we needed to tow anywhere up to 2.5 tonne. We need something that had a really good towing capacity. Sorry, I'm reading off my phone here. Just want to make sure I get this part right. So the towing capacity for the Pajero is 3 tonne, as long as your tow ball weight doesn't exceed 180 kilos. And if your tow ball weight exceeds 180 kilos through to a maximum of 250 kilos, the weight capacity is reduced to 2.5 tonne. So with this thing here having an ATM of 2.4 tonne, we're pretty comfortable where we sit. Again, another reason we went for the Pajero. I guess to summarize the pros, it can tow plenty as a standard setup. It's got plenty of power to tow your setup, and it's a pretty comfy ride as well, gotta be honest. Rightio, the biggest pro of all, in my opinion, was the fuel consumption. Taking into account all the different conditions, you know, headwinds, you know, sort of mild hills and those types of things, we average between 13 to 15 litres per 100 Ks, which in our opinion is really bloody good. Most of the time, if it's just standard running, you're about 13 to 13.5 litres per 100 Ks. You're really only getting up to 15 litres per 100 Ks if you got some decent headwinds. For example, at the start of the year, we did a trip up to Dongara, which is a few hundred K north of Perth, and there was 40 to 60 kilometre winds, and we had some massive headwinds there, and we're getting up to about 15.8, 15.9 litres per 100 Ks. And again, that was sort of close to a worst case scenario. While clearly going up hills and those types of things, and off-road four-wheel drive and those types of things, you're clearly going to chew a bit more, but just for standard towing, you know, anywhere from, you know, sort of 13 to 15 for us is pretty good. I'll never forget coming through the territory, doing 130 Ks an hour, and we had a mild tailwind, and we're only bloody using 14 litres per 100 Ks. So clearly we changed directions off the Barclay Highway onto the Stewart Highway. The wind changed, but all in all, the fuel consumption this thing's really good. You know, we hear the stories of 18, 19, 20 litres per 100 Ks. It's pretty hard for us to get our head around it. Well, it's standard for a lot of people, you know, to be there and a lot more than there. We love the fact that, you know, the economy in this thing is pretty good. Rightio, so time for the cons in regards to towing with a Pajero. First con is, while I said the ride inside was nice and comfortable, it is a bit of a slow roll and it's pretty comfy in regards to a ride. The standard suspension definitely sags. I'll throw up a quick shot now of how it is right now. The Pajero isn't loaded up, and the camper trailer definitely doesn't have a lot of the heavy things in. It's got none of the fridges or any of those types of things at the moment. But unfortunately, once you're fully loaded up there, the rear of the Pajero definitely sags, and it definitely sits a bit lower than I'd like. Now, I've had feedback from people telling me the tyre wear and the rear tyres would definitely increase. I can't say we experience a lot of that. What I will say though is, generally in most cars, clearly the front tyres will wear quicker than the rear tyres for obvious reasons, but the feedback when we get servicing done is the tyres are wearing evenly. We haven't been rotating the front to rear tyres at all, again because of the situation. So with the rear suspension the way it is, does put a bit of extra stress on the rear tyres. Definitely in a position now where we've got to get new shocks and have a look at the suspension. So yeah, look, we're at 250,000 Ks now, and the last service told us the left front shocks were starting to wear and are going to need replacing. So once we go through that, then we might share more. But as it is, while it's been comfortable, it definitely sits a lot lower than it bloody should, that's for sure.
Dad.
Yeah?
How many valves does Pajero have in it?
3.
Yes.
Good job.
The valves are A, E, I, O, U.
That's true, mate. Another con of the Pajero for towing is this situation here. Now at the moment we've got the tow ball turned up instead of facing down. I'll chuck a shit...
Say that again.
We've got the tow ball turned up instead of facing down. I'll chuck a shot up now of how it sits with the tow ball down. So this picture you're looking at now was in Kimber in central South Australia. And at that point, we had a few people let us know, like, you know, try switching the tow ball, switch it up, and it'll actually even out the ride. And I'll chuck up another picture now of when we were just about to leave Cairns. You can see how level the ride actually was. Since that point, this is how we've left it. While it's even out the ride, what it has done is clearly, it makes a bit of a challenge trying to back this thing up. While I haven't sort of pinged the tyre or done any sort of damage, there's definitely a few scrub marks on here trying to back this one up, because, you know, as it sits there, like clearly, actually what I'll do, I'll jack this up and I'll show you what it's like as you're trying to back it in. That's it, good job, nearly there, keep going, use your muscles. Oos. That's about right, mate. Oop, got a little bit more. Yep, that's it. So you can see there, that's what it's like trying to back it up with the tow ball up. There's not much there. And yes, I've definitely hit this a few times trying to get it in there. You know, there's obviously ways to do it. You can obviously tilt this one back and do it up that way and all those types of things. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you do it. This is definitely a con of the way the Pajero set up here with the rear wheel on the back. The Pajero does have the reversing camera, so I can see straight down. While I can see the camera going straight down, I can actually sort of see how close this is getting to where it should be. I can't actually see whether I'm going to hit that or not, and you know, I always rely on someone else there trying to give me a hand, which I prefer not to. Yeah, but there you go. So another con for towing with a Pajero, and this won't be anything new for anyone who has a Pajero. Now I've got a camera set up down here, so I'll actually show you in real time what it's like. So this is a situation you'll likely face if you pull over somewhere and you want to get in the back of the car, either grab a drink out of the fridge or to grab something out, or if you're pulled over in the night and we've set up the camper trailer or you've set up your caravan and you want to leave it hooked up because you just want to be able to pack up and get a good start on your next day, this is a situation. When the tow bar was flipped over the other way, obviously that was a bit lower and this wasn't so much of a problem, but again, to get the ride height to sit nice and straight, that's a situation you can't do anything about. And depending on what you want to get out of here, that's all you got to work with, so you can't open up all the way. Yes, you're bloody squeezing through there, but that's just how it is. So another kind of towing with a Pajero, and I'm not sure how else you can do it. I'd actually love to hear in the comments on this one what people have used, what they've found, and what they've found to work and not work, and along with the suspension. You know, I've talked to quite a few people out on the road, and they've used different suspension setups for different prices, and there's different options available. But again, let me know in the comments about these, what you've found, and suspension setups you've used in Pajero and you'd recommend for anyone else considering getting a Pajero to tow something like we've got. The way these sit on the back here. Now clearly a lot of cars, they sit up like this here, they're sort of out of the way, but these are exposed. I've had to replace the trailer plug on the Pajero part. This will be the 4th time I've actually changed it over. So the first time was on Fraser Island. We weren't towing that time. I did break it off coming through the Millstream to Chester National Park. I'll chuck up now what that experience was like. Actually, we're, I don't know, what are we, about half an hour down the road? And the trailer plug's broken. And we've completely lost into the trailer plug as well. So you can see there from going through a washout, it just snapped off the rest of it. You know, I guess that's another, you know, maybe it was going to happen anyway, but definitely with the sagging suspension, bang, it just hit the ground and just smashed off everything, including the plug on the camper trailer. So I had to replace all those when I got to Tom Price. And obviously I broke it off another time when I was doing some forward driving down near the Margaret River. The way these sit and how low they sit, in my mind, it's definitely a con, because they're always exposed, and you know, with the up and down of the suspension with a bit of weight on, you know, it's just always a chance of it hitting the ground, or you know, going through some bumps or those types of things. It's just, in my opinion, it's just too easy to hit it and bloody wreck it. So for us, we've got the standing lighting system. We don't have the bull bar or any of that sort of stuff, which obviously has the headlights and the spotty down here. Now we, as a rule, don't do a lot of night driving because we just don't think it's a risk you need to take, because clearly towing with roos out on the road, it's just a bloody recipe for disaster, so we just try and avoid it. But clearly there's been some times when we've had to do it. And the lighting on all this has been great. The visibility is great. You can see for bloody miles. I would say try this out first before you just go and shell out money on spotties. You may find it's good enough, but you might find, you know, you want some more as well. I guess that's your choice to make. But for us, the lighting here, I was pretty comfortable with it and pretty impressed with it actually. So something else for consideration if you're looking to tow with a Pajero, is definitely getting a two-way radio. In my opinion, and all the situations we've come across at different times, having one is definitely helpful. If it's not for yourself, it's definitely for other people. We've used it quite a lot. And something else we use it for quite regularly as well was talking to truckies on the road as well. When you're looking to overtake, you know, being able to talk with someone else and, you know, between the two of you, negotiating a safe point, a safe time to overtake, I definitely recommend it. We just got a small one. It's nice and fixed up, just where the lights are in the middle there. It's out of the way, it's easy to get to, and you know, it's not sort of encroaching any sort of leg spaces. I'll just chuck out some footage now, what we got and how we set it up. Pick a channel, we pick a volume, off we go. And using it, it's pretty simple. It's just a case of holding the button in there and that's it. I reckon that'll do it. I hope I answered your questions. It's definitely the thing we've been asked about the most, that's for sure. And if I've forgotten something, let me know and I'll do my best to share it with you or maybe incorporate it into a future video. But in summary, we're really happy we got the Pajero. We've had ours for close to 4 years now. We paid $28,000 for it. I think it had around 120, 130,000 Ks on it at the time. This was clearly before COVID and the COVID tax on vehicles and those types of things. But we love this thing, it's been great. You know, sure, there's a few there's a couple of downsides here and there, but this thing here's got us everywhere we needed to go without any troubles, really. It's only when we've gone off-road to do some four-wheel driving, clearance has been a bit of a problem, but for us and for towing and how affordable is towing as well, would 100% recommend getting one. You know, if you've got the money to get something bigger and fancy and those types of things, you know, power to you. And just before we wrap it up, I'd love to hear about any sort of mods and bits and pieces you've done to improve things. Obviously, we've had a few ideas over the years, but anything you can share in there would obviously be helpful for me, but clearly be helpful for anyone else watching the video. And some of you got some pretty schmick setups, so I would love to hear what you've got and what you've found and what you think, that's for sure. So anyway, we're going to head home and I'm going to have a couple of coldies and watch the footy and enjoy the afternoon. I hope you're well and healthy and life's treating you well. And for those of you stuck around to this point in the video, thank you if you're awesome. And again, the regulars that jump on every week, regardless of what we're putting up and check out our videos, you guys are awesome and it's super inspiring for me. I love talking to you and I love the interaction. We'll catch you in the next one. I'm Diesel for Getting Around Oz, camper trailer traveling. Hooroo. Now for us, towing wise, again, we just use the standard lighting system that comes with the Pajero. Rightio, so I'll start off with the pros of the Pajero. Rightio, I'll start off with the pros for the Pajero in regards to towing. Now the first and the biggest pro is